The Planet of the Apes universe is full of mysteries and fascinating creatures. But what happens when the most brilliant scientists discover something that could change the foundation of their ape society forever? What would you think if I told you that Kong exists in the Planet of the Apes world? And that we might even see references to this creature in the next Planet of the Apes movie? What happens when the apes try to destroy the Statue of Liberty, but encounter something terrifying? In this video, we begin a series of comic book analysis and stories about the Planet of the Apes universe. So, if you want to know what happened when this society discovered Kong, and how it could be connected to the story of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Welcome to the Oasis Geek. To understand how the apes found Kong, we must first understand how the story begins. This story begins in the first Planet of the Apes movie from 1968. In the future, 3 astronauts named Taylor, Landon and Dodge land on an unknown planet after traveling through space at great speed. Although more than 2,000 years have passed since they left Earth in 1972, they have aged only 1 year due to a phenomenon called time dilation. On this strange planet, Taylor is wounded in the throat, Dodge dies, and Landon is knocked unconscious. Taylor is taken to a city inhabited by intelligent apes, where 2 chimpanzees, Zira and Galen, save his life. Taylor is unable to speak due to his injury. He is imprisoned with a female human, whom he calls Nova, and observes that the apes have an organized society with different roles. Gorillas are soldiers, orangutans are religious and government leaders, and chimpanzees are scientists. Taylor manages to communicate his intelligence to Zira and to her fiancé Cornelius. The orangutan leader, Dr. Zayas, wants to punish Taylor, but Taylor manages to escape. When he is recaptured, he surprises everyone by being able to speak. At a trial to find out Taylor's origin, it is revealed that Landon has been lobotomized. Dr. Zayas threatens Taylor with further punishment if he does not reveal his origin. Zira, Cornelius, and his nephew Lucius help Taylor and Nova flee to the Forbidden Zone, where their ship crashed because they want to find evidence of an ancient human civilization. In a cave, they find artifacts of an advanced human society, which existed before the apes. Zayas admits to knowing about this civilization, but does not want it to be known. After a tense confrontation, Taylor and Nova are freed, but Zayas destroys the evidence in the cave and accuses Zira, Cornelius, and Lucius of heresy. Taylor and Nova, traveling on horseback, find the remains of the Statue of Liberty and realize that they are on Earth, which was destroyed by a nuclear war. Taylor despairs, realizing that the humans caused their own ruin, and this is how the first Planet of the Apes movie ends. The story of this comic begins right where the first movie ends, but it is focused on the apes' perspective. Dr. Zayas and Ursus are heading with a troop of apes to the Forbidden Zone. Zayas has a plan to suppress the stories of the humans. He believes that astronaut Taylor revealed something, which was supposed to be kept secret, and the apes must make sure that this does not get out. Zayas has prepared this group to destroy the Statue of Liberty, which he believes is a symbol of human arrogance and cruelty. Remember that at the end of the first film, the protagonist came across the Statue of Liberty, which confirmed that the events of the film took place in the future, that the Planet of the Apes was actually the result of the collapse of humanity, and this statue confirmed it. But what the apes didn't know was that there was much more to the Forbidden Zone than symbols of an ancient civilization. But one of the ape soldiers begins to scream. They have discovered something gigantic, something they can't explain, and they ask the doctor to come closer. We can see the look of fear on the apes' faces, faced with the discovery they can't explain. Meanwhile, Zira, Milo, and Cornelius are playing chess and talking about how they should not have helped the astronaut, because now a life in prison awaits them. However, there was something much more important than the help these apes gave the human. Dr. Zayas knew that Zira and Milo were his best scientists, and perhaps they could give him an explanation for what lay beyond the Statue of Liberty. Dr. Zayas told them to accompany him, because its discovery could change all their beliefs. When they arrived at this place, the image was shocking. A giant ape, such as they had never seen before, could be seen lying on the seashore, feeding the seagulls and other animals. It was a giant ape that had lost its life. Zira and Cornelius begin to argue as Cornelius fears these investigations, but Dr. Zayas convinces Zira that an autopsy of the specimen could clear up all doubts to find the truth. Zira has always wanted to find the truth behind things, and this was one of the reasons she became interested in science, so she agrees to perform an autopsy on the creature. The autopsy reveals that it is indeed a giant ape, and in its stomach, there are remains of bones and plants that Cornelius and Zira had never seen before. This causes Zira and other members of the ape colony to begin to question their faith, including Dr. Zayas, who knew many things and hid them from the rest. They did not understand why this giant ape existed, and there was no reference to them in the lawgivers' books or the ape religion. This could mean, perhaps, that their beliefs were false. Dr. Zayas convinces everyone that they must go on an expedition to a place beyond the forbidden zone. They must find out what that giant ape means. Perhaps it is a sign from God, or maybe it could reveal the secret of their lives. As they discuss what the expedition will be like, Cornelius warns that they don't know what they will find beyond the forbidden zone. But Dr. Zayas surprises him by pulling out an ancient map of that city. As usual, this doctor was hiding information from the rest of the apes. However, Ursus believes that this expedition should also have military security, and decides to send a troop of soldiers along with the scientists. Zayas is convinced that they will find more creatures like this, to which Cornelius asks him how he is so sure. But Dr. Zayas tells him nothing survives for 2,000 years alone, as he shows them a New York newspaper. 3 days later, the ship is ready for the expedition, and they have taken the skull of the ape to adorn the ship, something the scientists don't like, but they let it pass. It is then that the expedition begins, one that would be fraught with difficulties. The first 17 days the crew suffered multiple illnesses, and they lost hope of finding land. They were inexperienced sailors, and really didn't know what they were doing. But after 17 days they reached an island called Warm Water Island in Kenya, Africa. They were happy, and upon arrival they met a tribe of apes that inhabit this island, who offered them a place to stay and feed them, but warned them not to look for these giant apes, as it is dangerous. They advised them to go home. This part of the story is interesting, because it shows a different tribe from the main apes, but they share the same language and culture. However, Dr. Zayas does not want to turn back, and wants to investigate what is going on. For his part, Ursus converses with Amari, saying that the ultimate power is actually among them, that they are possibly wasting their time, and they begin to conspire among themselves. On the 19th day they continue the journey, but the ship is attacked by a giant squid. Cornelius almost loses his life, while Ursus's troops shoot at the creatures. But there are not only giant squids, there are also prehistoric creatures, much older than human civilization. During the fight against the giant squids and other creatures, the ship was approaching a mysterious island, where they heard some trees breaking, and a great scream. There is a Kong on that island. Zira asks Dr. Zayas if he heard that, to which Dr. Zayas replies that yes, they have just arrived at the place they wanted. This place is Skull Island, the home of King Kong. In the synopsis of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, it is mentioned that the protagonist and the villain are searching for ancient technology in the Forbidden Zone. Perhaps they find clues to what Dr. Zayas found on that expedition, and discover that they are not alone, and perhaps there are giant apes. But what happened when they reached the island? That's a topic for our next video. So if you want to know more about what happened in the Kong on the Planet of the Apes comics, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You are on The Oasis Geek.